Welcome into the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. Casey Phillips here with my co-host, Will Gholston. And man, do we have a special guest today. Because of Thursday night football, it's very hard for our player schedules. We couldn't find a window, so we thought, who could we call in? Who could we ask to fill in? And we called in the big guns.
Someone legendary.
Legendary. Buccaneers legend, NFL Network star, Gerald McCoy. Gerald, thanks for being with us.
You know what, guys? That was a phenomenal intro. I'm just another one of the extended family members. Not a legend in any right, just an extended family member who loves all of you guys in Tampa. So thanks for having me. Y'all actually were very fortunate. Y'all caught me on a week where, you know, it's crazy when parents say this, but I had to babysit my kids. I'm usually supposed to be in LA still doing more shows, but Eb, or the people that's not listening, that's my wife. She took my youngest son to New York for his birthday. So I had to stay with the twins, but usually she's here with the rest of the kids. But I stayed. So
look at this.
Here we are.
So we have Eb to thank for this.
Yes.
Well, man, this is great. So I wished we had a better game to talk about having you in here, but you know what? You two are great people to talk to about, unfortunately, having some knowledge of, you know, these moments as players, the ups and the downs, and how you carry on from here. So Gerald, I'll just kind of let you start, just some of the takeaways from the game for you and what stood out and just kind of where they go from here inside that locker room.
It's almost like, so I always say this, bad teams find ways to lose games, good teams find ways to win games. And when this guy asked me last year at the Super Bowl, they asked me who's the greatest free agent signing of all time. And I said it's Tom Brady. Not because it's Tom Brady, but because my time in Tampa, Will experienced some of it. We didn't know how to win games. And we had a losing culture. Even when the coaches came in, it didn't matter how much we did. Overall, we just didn't know how to win as an organization. It's just we had to find a way to win. Well, when Tom came in, he ushered in a new era and kind of changed the culture. And since he stepped foot in Tampa, this team has been completely different. They found ways to win. They know how to win. And it seems like as of late, we're getting away from that. And yesterday was more of the same. That's a game where your experience should kick in and you should know how to finish that game out. I know what people say, well, Emeka dropped the ball or we had the pass interference that they didn't call, but there were multiple different opportunities that we had. I believe if I look, it's on 3rd and 4th down, we were 5 of 20. That is not going to win you very many games. And our Achilles heel all year to me has been being able to put pressure on the quarterback with just 4. And it's not that we don't have the guys. I don't know if it's not being coached properly. These guys are not taking the information in and applying it. I don't know what it is, but we have the guys up front to win with 4. But when you can't get pressure with 4 and you have to blitz all the time, it's tough on the back end. And it puts a lot of pressure on the back end. And it just seems like we just couldn't flip that switch. And that has been the difference in these Tampa teams as of late, opposed to when I was there. And I'm afraid that we're slipping back into that old way. And that I don't want that to happen, you know? So when I'm watching the game, that's what I'm sitting back like, guys, don't do that. Do what y'all have been doing. Yeah.
So, like, former player, how do you gain that experience? So if you watching this now, from what you shared, that's amazing insight. Like, the perspective you just shared was definitely dope. Had nothing to say. It's nothing to rebuttal with that. But how do you get those guys the experience? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of young guys out there.
Yeah.
And you saying the culture changed, because it can, and it can change on a whim. But how do you get the guys the experience to know, all right, it's time to flip that switch? how do we get on the practice field and do that? Like, what would be your suggestion to it? Being
I remember a couple of weeks ago, I listened to Baker's post game, and he said a lot of things that are happening in the week we're allowing to slip, and it's showing up on game day. Mm-hmm. And when you listen to Tom, you listen to Peyton, you listen to I'm on a show with Akib, and you listen to these guys who won championships. You won a championship. You know when practice had to be a certain way in order for us to play a certain way. Now, it's not always going to be perfect on game day, but in practice, different what's the word I'm looking for? Different habits have to switch. Different habits have to change. Things that were allowed, you got to tighten those things up. The ball can't hit the ground on offense. If the ball hits the ground while the defense is up and the scout team is going, the defense needs to pick it up. Everybody needs to be getting to the ball, getting their hands on the ball. The D-line does not need to stay blocked in any period. Practice winning, being in a winning position. There's a lot of different things that we can fix and we can tighten up. And
I learned those same habits you're talking about from you, from Sue, from all of the Steve McClendon, all of those, Clinton McDonald's. I saw those habits. That's what shaped me into the player that I was. Practice wasn't just practice. Practice was a game. I treated it like I started to treat every single rep from walkthrough, padded, no matter what. Somebody in front of me, I got to get my job done. And I can't say that that's not happening now, but I know that doing that consistently definitely helped us change and mold the culture. And I know we still got great guys on the defensive side. And we got great guys on the offensive side who are leaders of the team. But sometimes when you get a younger generation coming in, how do you connect to those guys to get them to pick up those habits?
Well, what I used to do is a lot of people, this because you were one of my rookies. I didn't have a lot of people have like rookie duties. I never was a rookie duties guy, but I did have something that was mandatory. Yeah. The only rookie duty I have is that you have to do extra after practice. We're going to do extra either before or after practice. You're going to get some type of sled hitting. We're going to work on your hands. We're going to work on footwork. We might run. It don't matter, but we're going to do extra. So when the leaders are doing what they're doing, the leaders have to be the ones. The best teams are player-led teams.
Yeah.
Okay? So the leaders have to be the ones to recognize what's going on. What is happening? The coaches are going to coach. They're going to put the game plan together. But the leaders, defensively, offensively, even special teams. That's why Tandy's coaching now. Tandy was one of our special teams leaders.
Yeah.
These people have to say, okay, this is what's happening. That has to stop. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my group, you take your group, and this is what we're going to do to fix this. Hey, that can't happen. That can't happen. Starts with me, but every group the leaders of every position group has to understand and recognize what the problem is and fix it. If it's a young guy, okay, he's young, but hey, that doesn't work. This is how you have to do it. Emeka's extremely talented. He's really good, but he's still young. Okay, so with what happened yesterday, now this is where Mike and CG come in and they say, hey, listen, I've been there before. I've had drops. I've done that. This is how you control that up here, because it's not a talent thing. It's up here. This is where that can have a negative effect, is in his mind. So Baker saying yesterday, we should take this personal. We should be upset about this, and we need to take it out on Thursday. Now, one thing I'll say about Schiano is he did a lot of crazy things, but he emphasized technique.
Man.
He emphasized the basics. And as long as you have the basics, your athleticism will fade. But your technique and your basics can always be there, and they just need to get back to that.
We're talking to Will Gholston and Gerald McCoy here. How about we talk a little bit on the offensive side? Tell me, Gerald, what have you seen from Baker kind of over the course of the season in that game and through some of the injuries he's played through, and just where his game is at this point, and the way that he's been trying to kind of will this team, as you talked about, those players who step up, those guys who are the ones that really inspire, that culture. I know Baker's definitely been one of those guys. What have you seen from him, both in terms of the X's and O's of how he's looked, but then also the role he's played in trying to will those guys to the level that they know they want to be at?
Baker's a special individual. You got to be a special individual and have something about you in order to walk on 2 different major D1 schools and be the starting quarterback, and then eventually walk into the Heisman and #1 pick. Every locker room he's been in, he's captivated the locker room because he's a special individual, and that carries over into the team. Now, Baker is always going to compete. You never got to worry about if that guy is going to give you everything he has. Now he has to help everybody else figure out how we can be better. And that's why Tom was so special and why Tom was so great is Tom could say, hey, coach, this doesn't work because this guy, and this guy, this doesn't work for them. We need to put this in because he can't really handle that, but he can handle this. And it can be just as effective. So he can do that with the coaches. And then he can go to the players, hey, we getting these looks. This is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And then these guys can come together. And then as far as Baker, he's going to push through his injury. We've seen Baker push through injuries before. I think a lot of people are, because of how dynamic he was at the beginning of the season, people don't understand that all the games are not going to be perfect. Has he been at peak level Baker? No. But you also got to understand it's not as easy as you guys think when everybody's doubling a Mecca and we're trying to get other guys to separate, or we're trying to get other guys to be able to run these routes or get open. And Baker has been excellent with not putting the ball in harm's way. He has his struggles, but as far as a leader and how he's playing, Baker will figure it out. Yesterday he made a throw to Mecca. Mecca just didn't catch the ball. It happens, but Baker's always going to put his team in position to win. And as long as we got him and guys understand who he is and what he's about, we'll be okay offensively. I think we need to improve in the run game. Run game is not – a lot of people think that run game is just about the O-line. It's not always just about the O-line. It's how you drawing it up. And a great run game, that's why you see some teams always got great run games because of how they're drawing it up. So if we can get the run game going just a little better, it'll take a little pressure off Baker. We can get our play action going. It'll open up our playbook some more. So offensively, guys are getting healthy. Mike is practicing. I don't know if McMillan is back yet, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before we got on air, but the offensive line and just what they've gone through this year, and then here in this last game we just played, had a whole new, lineup of guys that the number of combinations has just been crazy. That now you get Chuck Wuma in there for the first time. What is it like to watch that, and even from you as a defensive lineman perspective on what they're going through and how much that can affect what a defense looks at when they're seeing a new combination of guys out there?
Especially to hit on that run game, the synergy that you need as an offensive line to really dominate and be forceful. I say it all the time, like you got to have that synergy. You got to have that understanding to be able to push these guys. And then as a defensive lineman perspective, if I know this guy has not been in the games, he going to be talking to him. He going to tell me if he going to reach me. He going to tell me when he coming down, so you get a better advantage to get off the ball, put your hands on him because you know where you're going to go. And, heck, I learned that from this guy. Freaking having the meetings and doing offensive lineman breakdowns and watching the film, telling their tendencies, picking up what they're going to do, third, fourth down, first, second down, goal line, short yardage. If you got a little bit of advantage, goes an extremely long way. So just get the synergy down, get those guys running, because we've seen throughout the season that they can really run the ball, that they can really be some hog mollies. But I feel like we got to get a nice, good core group that's going to, stay healthy and just keep going. I think the run game and the pass game will pick up. But we need a consistent flow of offensive lineman.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. We're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston here. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. We are joined by Will Gholston and Buccaneers legend Gerald McCoy. So we kind of broke down the game against the Saints a bit. So looking just larger picture, of course, I got to talk to you two about the defensive line. I mean, that would be a waste to not dive into that a little bit more, having the two of you here. So Gerald, tell me what you've seen from that group this year, knowing how much losing Kalijah early in the season, the impact that had, and what you've seen, the potential of especially he and Vita next to each other, and the ways that some of these other guys have had to step up, and what that rotation has looked like for you this year.
Yeah, I think the young guys have stepped up. Kalijah, what he brings is you need a three technique that can get upfield and disrupt. It's not always about making a play, but losing him in the middle of that defense definitely puts a lot of pressure on Vita, because Vita is really good, but Vita is a nose guard, and he's not always a three technique. And a lot of people confuse that being a D tackle is just being a D tackle. Will was one of those Swiss Army knives where he could play everything. He could play in, he could play D tackle, he could play at the 4, which is head up on the tackle for those that don't know. He could play 4-eye, which is inside of the tackle. He could play 3 tech. Will could do everything. Will's an anomaly. Everybody, that's not everybody. Can Vita play the 3 technique? Yes, but that's not his specialty. So you need a guy at the 3 technique that can disrupt things, and that's what Kalijah was. But this group is good enough to do more than what I'm seeing. And I text Robert Ayers all the time, because he was there in training camp and helping coach. And I asked him different questions about the group, because I'm watching and I'm like, okay, what is coach teaching them? Like, what are they? And I've felt this way for a couple years, and everybody's like, well, gee, just come down here and help us. I'm like, well, I still got 5 kids and a job, but if I could, I would. But there's a lot of things I'm seeing where all you need is the pieces. You just need guys in place. Now, if you have a group like what Will was with when they won the Super Bowl, of course you're going to dominate. That is a bunch of different dynamic individuals that are great in their own right, and you put them together and they know how to play football. But if you got a bunch of guys who are willing to get off the ball every play, they play with a lot of great effort, and they can be good at one thing, and you coach it right, you can have a dynamic defensive line. And all it is about how it's being coached. What are you seeing? I don't know how the meetings are being ran, so I don't want to say anything about Coach Strong, because I don't know what's being said. But what I do know is how you approach coaching your defensive line matters. Will was with Joe Cullen, and he understands. Will's seen a bunch of different D-line coaches, but he understands when we got Joe, the way Joe broke everybody down individually and then was collectively able to bring us together to teach us how to play football as a defensive line, with teaching us the green system, which the people are listening, the green system is a way of pass rushing on third down. It teaches who has what rush lane, who has to cover who has the two-way go, who has the one-on-one, all of that. Learning formations, knowing, okay, what type of protection are we getting? Are we cab, which is center away from back? Are they a not normal, where usually the running back and the center go opposite? Usually if you see them go the same way, something's up. It's probably a screen. But sometimes they may be a nickel where they slide to the nickel back. You just got to understand protections. You need to know, okay, who's the fish on the offensive line? Which one of these guys is trash? You always recognize that person. You get in the meeting room, you're like, okay, he's okay, Vita, you got him because he's terrible. That, and you just find different matchups. And I don't know how it's being coached or what's being said, but what I do know is we got a good enough group to do more than what I'm seeing. And a lot of the outsiders, or I remember when I was there, a lot of the vets and the people who used to be there would be like, oh, this group just ain't good. I'm not that guy. This group is good. It's just about figuring out how to maximize who this group is. Obviously, having Kalijah there would help, but this group is good enough to get the job done.
And we're talking to Will Gholston and Gerald McCoy. Gerald said something earlier about, having you as one of his rookies. Mm-hmm. So now I would love to hear what it was like to be. I like that chuckle I just heard. What it was like to be a rookie with Gerald as your vet.
He said we didn't have no rookie demands.
You remember it differently?
It's a little foggy for me when it comes to that. So listen, we got to get on the plane. You're a rookie. You don't know nothing. All right, I had to get a suit. I got to be here at the facility.
And you got to pick up food for the vets.
And we used to leave with an extremely short window. It was like a 30-minute window to get to the airport.
Mind you, guys, this was military Shiano era, where he was a military type.
Yeah, if you were
sergeant.
1 minute late.
Yeah. So
I sweat my whole suit out every week.
You're like, I have too many things I got to do in this limited window of getting the food, getting the suit, getting to the airport. Yeah, because it is funny to see how much it's changed of the travel, that guys can wear sweats, can wear whatever. I remember when I started saying it was like
right there for you.
There's food for you. You get to wear whatever you want.
I remember I looked at the Bucs Instagram and I seen everybody I was like, wait, hold up. Why is everybody at the airport? And I looked and said, wait a minute. They get to go to the airport?
Yeah.
I said, oh my gosh, I missed the great era. We used to ride buses for $1.
Yep. Everybody drives their own car now. But man, you better hope you're not buried in that line of cars, or you're sitting there waiting for 30 cars to leave before you, based on the way they park. So sometimes you never know. You might change your mind on what you want there. But so Gerald you had a few things you had to do, but overall not the most militant vet to have to report to?
No, I can't say that. I feel like when it came to the knowledge and understanding of the game, he had like a plethora. You listen to as he speaks on this cast right now. It's a plethora and a well of knowledge, and he was always willing to share it. But the one thing I can say, and I appreciate, you had to take the initiative to get the knowledge. He wasn't just going to pass it to you like, hey, come on. He would do that as long as you showed that you wanted that. He gave it to you. It was never no situation that I was in where I couldn't go to G football or anything else related, and really appreciate that. And I was a different kind of guy back then. I was not the same guy right now.
That's going to be my follow-up question to Gerald in a minute. So you finish, and then we'll give Gerald the time.
So I appreciate you, for all the things you did for me, especially to elevate my game and consistently when you were here or when you weren't here, just being able to, if I needed anything to come call you, text you, you always answer. I appreciate that. And I know you had to deal with a lot because of my mentality in the past.
Oh, it's all good,
I'm a totally different guy now.
Yeah, we've changed. We've grown. We're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston. So, yeah, Gerald, tell me, young Will, what was that like?
It's crazy because I'm actually back in school. I'm in Bible college right now, and one of the classes I'm in is cultural intelligence, and it talks to us. And one of the stories I told in one of my assignments is about being in a football locker room and how we all come from different backgrounds, and how in order to come together for one common goal, you have to be selfless and understand that these people were not raised how you were raised. They're a bunch of different races, a bunch of different cultures from a bunch of different cities, a bunch of different upbringings. And when I think back to Will, before you know his story, you got to remember this is 2013. So I was only in my 4th year, so I'm still young mentally. Now I've been playing, going into my 4th year, but mentally I'm still young. I was only a year into my marriage, so I'm still so I don't have the mindset to understand that this guy comes from a place where it might be a little different than Oklahoma. So his mindset and the things he probably seen or grew up watching or how he was raised might be a little, so when Will came in, this is a large human. Okay, I'm like, hey, listen, this
coming
dude,
from another large human.
Yes,
so yeah.
yes.
This dude's big.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a large human, man. How did we draft this guy? He's definitely gonna be one of these guys. We just got to get him going. And all I knew is that he was so angry, and I'm like, why is he so angry all the time? He's so angry. And when you're younger, even if you're a vet, you like, we make fun of guys. It's like, oh, stop all the, oh, you mad? Oh, you mad? And then for us, we didn't know, like, he really was mad. Like he didn't like all that joking and all, eventually Will, he calmed down and he's the Will that y'all know. But early on, it was a roller coaster of emotions. But one thing I do know is there's one thing that mattered to him. It was the game and taking care of the people he loved and cared about. Forget y'all in this locker room. Those people where I come from, that's why I'm here. That is what I'm worried about. I used to hear all the time, gee, I ain't come from nothing, man. I'm here by my grind and I'm trying to get somewhere. So that was always his motivation. And I always used to tell people to find your why. Why are you here? I knew why I was playing, why I was here. Will knew why he was playing and why he was there. And until people figure that out, it's going to be hard to push you to go to greatness. Well, Will had that early on. So I know, okay, this is how I get to him. Well, once I understood that he just wants to be great, he's working through however he gets there, then I was able to relate to him and say, okay, this is what we need to do. Try this, this, and this. And as the years went on, Will lightened up, and here we are, man. Will put together a phenomenal career. And this is what I always tell people, and I'm going to tell everybody listening. I tell any player that is a defensive lineman. I was talking to Evan Dietrich Smith the other day on the phone. He called me because he coaches high school football. And I said, if any young player wants advice about the NFL and how to be great, do not come to Gerald. Don't go to Warren Sapp. Don't go to Deion Sanders. Don't go to none of these people. You go to Will Gholston. You go to Evan Dietrich Smith. You know why? Because for me, in high school, I was ranked high. In college, I was All-American. I got drafted extremely high. I had leeways and passes that most people don't get. Okay. And then once I became an All-Pro, you get even more passes. Whereas Will, he wasn't drafted in the first round. He had to grind his way up. But look at the career he put together. When you get drafted where Will got drafted, and you have to be a guy who has to earn his way at all times, those are the people you want to listen to, because I can't tell you what he can tell you about them tough days of having to push through when Gerald is getting favoritism, but I have to do extra. I have to do this. I'm serious. And this is the thing is, a lot of these vets and these high profile players, they won't tell y'all the truth. I tell these kids the truth. Don't talk to me, because I have privileges that a lot of people don't have. Go talk to Will, who really went through the grind, who went through the struggle, and look at the career he put together. Look at what he was able to do because he figured out how to be a pro. There's a difference in being a professional and a pro. When you get drafted, you're a professional. That doesn't make you a pro. Will figured out how to be a pro, and that's why he had the career he had. So I just talked to you about young, angry Will, and look at where he's at now and everything he's able to accomplish. That's because he figured out a way to be consistent and to make it work. So anybody that's listening, regardless of what your career is, if you want to know what it takes to have a thriving career in whatever you're doing, talk to people like Will Gholston, because he's the one who knows how to go from the bottom and make it all the way to holding the Lombardi. So that's my little story about Will.
I love that.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That was so sweet. Listen to that.
Trying to get me to cry on camera, ain't you?
Nah, man. It's the truth, man.
That was adorable. All right, we're going to take one more break here on the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. We're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. We're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston. So now this has been the 50th season. We've got to do a lot of look backs, and this week is the debut of the documentary, Raise the Flags documentary, that will be debuting on Amazon Prime this Thursday. 10-part series chronicling the entire 50-year history of the Buccaneers, which both you and Gerald were a part of a huge chunk of those years. And I am just so excited to watch it. I'm so excited to hear fans' opinions. And also, Gerald, I know you made the top 50 Buccaneers list. There's just been so many cool ways to look back. And for you, I'd love to hear what it's been like to see all the reminiscing that's going on. And both I know you're in the documentary and interviewed and getting to be a part of that top 50 list and some of these events. Tell me your thoughts.
I've seen some of it.
Ooh.
And you guys are in for a treat.
Is it binge worthy?
It's definitely binge worthy.
That little chuckle.
They did a great job. I don't want to give anything away, but they do a great job with cliffhangers leading into what comes next on all the episodes. The one they sent me, where I was in a lot of it, was really about the year before I got drafted all the way through the year Jameis last year, so 2019. So if you think about that time of change where Derek Brooks retired, okay, John Gruden was let go, and Raheem took over, and the first draft pick was Josh Freeman. And they were building, Mark Dominic was the GM, and they were trying to get back to building this team up through youth. So they had the young quarterback, and then here we go with how they had the Warren Sapp. Well, we need another young guy. So then my draft comes in, and then all the things that led up to it. And then you got the Jameis time, and then when Jameis gets let go, and then I think you guys know where this thing is headed. So
Yeah.
it's the way they set it up, though. It was very cinematic, and I can't say a whole bunch about what they said and how they did it, but when I tell y'all are in for a treat, this is going to be one of those. I will be extremely surprised if this does not win awards. I believe it should, and it will. It's extremely good. It's very, very good. And
That's awesome.
It's great to see, yeah.
That's cool. And Will, what are you most excited about for watching this?
You got to know. I'm excited to see Jameis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, obviously.
He is
must-see TV.
So captivated behind the camera. That's just him. Wait, G. So what everybody sees of Jameis when he's behind the camera is, for my personal opinion, he is exactly the same on or off the camera.
I tell people all the time, man, people ask me, is he real? I'm like, yeah, all they did is push record. They probably just caught him talking to somebody and push record. That is not an act. Yep. He is literally... We'll be sitting there, and he would say the most outlandish stuff ever. And it's like, dog, what are you talking about? How does that make sense? Will, do you remember?
Stop.
Do you remember when he had the suspension and he got to talk to us before he left, and he did that time speech? He gave this speech about time. And he was going on about time and being now in time and future time in the past, but it's about time. And we were sitting at team meeting like, hey, man, just tell us you're going to miss us so we can get out this meeting, man. We trying to go to bed. But he was being sincere. Like, the thing I say about Jameis is he is so sincere. He loves people. And Jameis is a natural born leader. He doesn't know how to not be that way. And that's what I love about him, is because it's extremely genuine. He's not trying to, I want to have this legendary speech. He just don't know how to do it no other way. He's not trying to have these moments. He's just having them. And that's what I love about Jameis, man. His maturity. He's matured so much. He's matured so much, man. Jameis is an incredible guy. Freaking incredible.
One of the things that I'm really excited about for the doc is to see the Mike's 1,000 yards moment, because I feel like that's just one of my favorite moments in Bucs history, because it's Mike. And Gerald, I'd love to hear for you, still watching guys like Mike and Levante that you got to play with for so long, got to watch their careers and everything. Just what it's been like to watch the two of them do it at such a high level for so long, and what they have come to mean to the city, the team, and for you watching now from the outside, moments like that for Mike, what that's like for you.
Man, it's incredible to see that they still doing it, man. I remember when Will kept coming back, And Will kept just playing a year, then playing another year. I'm like, man, this goddamn Will Gholston is still playing football. What in the world? My goodness, Will is still going. And but when I watch Levante and Mike, they are just if you need a picture of what consistency looks like, just put both of their pictures up next to each other. And it's just about their work. They have mastered what they do well, and their routine and what they do in the off season and how they prepare for games and consistently be them. It's just incredible to see, especially being one of their vets and now seeing them as the old guys in the locker room. It's cool, man. One of the most gratifying things is when I was at training camp this last year, and I used to be the dad out there with the kids running around. I had the twins, and Marcellus and Vea was a little older, but then the twins started running around. Then my last year there, Mars was born, but Mars was just a baby, so he didn't get to run on the field, but the twins did. When I seen Levante's baby run up to him, I said, wow, times have really changed. I said, Tay, dog, did you ever think that this would be you, where you would be the guy walking around with their kid running up to him? He said, man, it's crazy, G. I said, yeah, because you're old now. You're old. He was like, I feel it too. But just seeing them, and what I love about them most is their willingness to be selfless and that they care about everybody around them more than themselves. And I tell people, this is how you know the type of people they are. A lot of people have broken records. We've seen people break different records, and people celebrate. Look at the celebration for Mike Evans. It was not about the record. Mike is one of the most selfless to himself people that you ever be around. I tell people all the time, Mike's sitting at the locker. When I was there, Mike was sitting at the locker, watch LeBron highlights. He's sitting at the locker and just sit. He may say something here and there. He go to work, he go home, come to work, he go home, he come to work, he go home. That's Mike. That's just what that was just Mike. So, but what he did in the community, very selfless. He got us all Christmas gifts one year. He just always giving back to his teammates and the people around him. So when you seen everybody celebrate the way they did, that wasn't just about the record. It was about Mike Evans, the human. And that's why it was such a huge celebration. So seeing both of them, I think everybody knows what Levante means to me. I mean, he's my youngest son, Mars. Levante is his godfather. So I think that says a lot, about what they mean. But to see what they've been, to be two of the greatest to ever not just be in this organization, but play this game, is great to see.
No, that's so true. And it is amazing to see the different leaders that have come through. I think that's something that'll be cool to watch the 50-year history and like the people that have been the pillars of the organization at different phases. And we're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston here. Will, for you, looking back, you talked a bit about what it was like to have, Gerald as your vet in the room, but just as we look at that time in the history of the franchise, what Gerald meant to the team, as we talk about people like a Levante and like a Mike Evans, you have to mention Gerald in those same sentences. So what do you feel like you remember about just what he meant to the team at the time?
Everything. He was a voice of reason, voice of passion. He was like I said, I can call G about anything, man. Sometimes I didn't even know I needed to talk. And sometimes he could be talking to somebody else, but that message got to me because we was in the locker room. I think as a defensive line and the way that our seasons went a lot of the time, like sometimes it was really low. Sometimes we have up and down. But he held the D-line room together to an aspect. He definitely brought some comedic relief at times, for sure. But, like, coming into the league, not especially humble beginnings, not knowing – just life in general, how to be a man. It was a lot of great examples. So it's definitely different personalities in the locker room. So it's guys you can see that do this stuff, and it's guys you see that do that stuff. Looking at G was a great example of a man outside of football. So it wasn't always about football. Talking to him or listening to him and seeing what he had going on when I wanted to start doing stuff, I saw Gerald and his family foundation. All right, yo, that's what I want to do. I want to do stuff like that. So it helped me want to be able to give. Doing the D-Line Does Christmas, when we giving gifts to families all over, you know what I'm saying, spreading a little joy, because we wasn't really having the best seasons at those times, but we got an opportunity to spread joy, getting active in the community. I saw him do it, so it made me want to do, like, I tried to emulate. I don't know if you know this either, because I don't usually talk like this, but I emulated a lot of stuff that I did as a man from him and other guys that I saw. So the type of person that he was in the locker room wasn't just about football. So when I think about the defensive line room, when I think about the greats that played in this franchise or just in my Rushmore, it's not necessarily always just the football. Because crazy stats, by the way. He's definitely got some crazy stats. He's done some amazing stuff. One of the biggest dudes I ever seen with that type of get off is, I still haven't seen nobody that big moving like that. But yeah, it's for me. To be a great defensive lineman, you got to be a great man. And to be a great man, you got to be and do some of the stuff that I've seen Gerald do. So I think he helped not only mold the football aspect of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it's a lot of people that became men watching what he did and listening to the type of stuff that he was saying.
I love that. All right, we're going to take another break here. Every time you guys say nice things to each other, I got to take a break.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate that.
Yeah, let y'all have a little moment here. You know?
I don't never get a chance to say it. You know,
I love it. It's so.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of the fans say that I wasn't a leader. You know?
What? We can't.
Yeah,
we can't.
Preposterous.
No way.
Preposterous.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. We're talking to Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston. This is Buccaneers Radio. It's time for our final segment here on the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. Casey Phillips with Gerald McCoy and Will Gholston. Gerald, you know I have to do this with you every time because I am a fellow superhero lover just like you, and I want to hear guys on this current Bucs team.
Oh, we doing superheroes?
We doing superheroes. We doing it. I haven't talked to you in so long. We got to do it. Some current Buccaneers. Pick me some superheroes. And Will, I know you're a superhero guy as well. He's already thinking about it. So.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this. So, man, I'm not as vested on the roster like I should be. Okay, we already know the Flash is taken. We're moving that out.
Yeah, he had named Levante the Flash way back at the very beginning of his career.
Levante was named the Flash. He was named the Flash in the spring of his rookie year.
Yeah,
I gave him the name the Flash.
Dubbed him that a long time ago.
Tay takes that and he goes. See, if Will was there, he would definitely be Doctor Strange, just because of the name. Just
because he was strange.
Will would just be Doctor Strange, just because. You could be Luke Cage. How about that?
Ooh, that's actually a really good one.
Yeah, Will.
I'll take it.
I can see that.
Baker's definitely Tony Stark, for sure.
Interesting. Tell me the reasons.
Have you seen how Baker acts? Baker's like his sarcasm and it kind of like fair. But
so not only is he's Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like he's Tony Stark.
The swagger,
that is Baker. All of that. Like Baker, like his swag and kind of his, how Baker act. That's Tony. So good. Baker can be Iron Man. He can be Tony Stark.
What's Vita?
Vita is. Man, so it doesn't just have to be Marvel. It can be anybody.
It can be anything. I'm blanking on the Juggernaut is who I think of with Vita.
Juggernaut talk. Do Vita talk? Yeah, Vita talk noise. I don't know how much noise he talk on the field.
Yeah, that's fair.
Juggernaut was he was a son of a gun.
Will, do you have any that are coming to your mind while you're thinking?
A ton of them.
Oh, hit me. Give me a couple of them.
Let's go, Will. And let's go, Will.
Thinking. He needs to think a bit.
I'm doing Zion. I'm giving him. Right now I'm between Silver Surfer and Spider-Man for Zion.
Okay.
I like it.
When I think Yaya, we talking super. I know he got his Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero, but if we doing superhero for Yaya, it's the Atom. You guys know who that is, right? All right. Let's see. I'm trying to get some guys that he didn't name.
You said Spider-Man, and I was thinking for me that Tez Johnson kind of came to my mind.
He could, but for Spider,
Yeah, but
I would say
Tez,
he would
if
be
he's
a
Spider-Man, he's Miles Morales.
Miles Morales if he's Spider-Man,
Yeah.
or Kid Flash.
He could be Kid Flash. Yeah.
That's I like that.
That's two different Flash. So
That's Wally West. He could be Wally West. Yeah.
Who would you give? Oh, I would say the Luke would be my version of either the Thing or the Hulk.
Oh yeah, Luke is the Hulk. Like he does the smelling salts, and then it's just like Luke smash. So that feels good.
Let's see who else I got. Give me a position.
I don't know, cause Tristan, man, that dude jumped out of water, man. I don't know. Tristan, like he might be Colossus or something.
Oh, Tristan is a huskier Superman. You said
I've never.
He might be Colossus.
Colossus.
Maybe Colossus.
There it is. We solved it. This is what teamwork is about.
I like
Colossus. These are pretty good.
Bucky is a Nightcrawler.
Who is?
I would take that Bucky.
Bucky is Nightcrawler.
Just suddenly he's here. Suddenly he's there. Suddenly he's everywhere. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that. We're talking to Will Gholston and Gerald McCoy. So, Gerald, tell me what it has been like for you transitioning to broadcasting. And what have you loved about it? What's been challenging about it? Like, what has this second career been like?
There's a guy over there behind the camera who can attest to the fact that I didn't have a choice in doing this after I was done playing, because he told me years ago, JR, who's been one of my mentors since I stepped foot at One Buck, he told me years ago, you are going to be doing this. And I had to do it because I did it while I was with Tampa doing radio and a lot of interviews. And I never really had a choice in the matter. You know, I always talk to people about talents versus gifts. And once you figure out what your gift is, you understand what your purpose is. So talent, I had talent to play football, but my gift that God gave me is communication, being able to articulate and be able to reach people in different ways and get people to understand whatever it is that I'm talking to them about. And I've never had a fear of the camera or being in front of crowds. You know, the number one fear in the world is public speaking. And number two is dying. So you would rather...
People are more afraid to talk in front of people.
At a funeral, you would rather be at your funeral than speak at a funeral. Like that's like that's really think about that. So that's never been my thing. And I was blessed enough to not have to figure out what happens next. That is a big thing for guys when they're done playing, because people don't understand how time consuming playing football is. Even from college into the NFL, that's all you do. And it fills up most of your time. Well, when you're done, you got all this idle time, you're trying to figure it out. I was blessed enough to, I know what I'm doing. I retired, announced my retirement in May-ish, I think. I was hired by the network in July.
Wow.
So I didn't get a chance to even really think about it. I just went right into work. And the greatest thing about it is I told myself I'll never go into another profession that somebody else has been doing for years and don't treat it the way I treated mine. Because when people used to BS the game, we'll tell you this. If you BS this game that I know I'm giving everything I have, I'm running to the ball, I'm doing extra workouts and all this, I'm going to have an issue with you. Because I know everything I'm putting into this sport. That's why when people say, or NBA players or whatever, be like, oh, I could play in the NFL. No, you couldn't. Or NFL players, I could play in the NBA. No, you couldn't. You don't know what goes into that sport. We don't know what goes into being in the media until you're in it. So now I have a newfound respect for all those people asking them questions. Now I know there's a way to go about it now, but being in front of the camera was never my issue. Doing it properly and learning how to do it, it's always a learning curve, and it was. Because my first ever time being on NFL Network on a live show, the very first segment I was in, I had all these notes, and I was going to list off all these people, and he did this and this and this. And I got up there, and they asked me a question, and I forgot everybody's name. Everybody's name. And I was And I said, oh, excuse me, sorry. All right, sorry. And I was like, bro, that's not even you. What happened? Yeah, because it's not as easy as it may seem. So you learn to find different knacks and you find your way, just like I figured out who I was as a football player. Now I know who I am as a media member in all the different realms that I'm in, whether I'm doing an interview, whether I'm in studio, whether I'm sitting on the couch with Underdog, regardless of what I'm doing, I just know who I am in the media now, and I'm steady growing. I'm still learning. I still have a media coach who texts me. He texts me literally while I'm on air, like, you did this, try not to do this, or your voice inflection was this and this. A lot of that's going on that y'all don't see while we on camera, but I truly enjoy it because I still get to watch film. I still get to be around the game. The worst part is that I have to be away from my family because it's in LA and I live in Dallas, but I enjoy it. And I want to be great at it the same way I want to be great at football. So that's why I work so hard.
I like that. Do you remember what you always said after we would record something? What did you always say as soon as it was done?
I don't know.
One take, Gerald.
One take, Gerald?
One take, Gerald.
Oh, yeah.
One take, Gerald.
Yeah.
You never had to do a
read
second
No,
take.
he didn't.
I swear to you, every time.
No,
One
if you
take,
needed
Gerald.
me to read something, Will, I was one take, Gerald.
One take, Gerald. It was the
Now,
best.
even now, Casey, you know what's crazy is Steve Mariucci, who's on Game Day Morning with us, he said, gee, did you practice reading prompters or something? I said, the only time I read prompters is when they would have me read something. He said, I don't know how you do it. I've been doing this for 20 years and I can't read prompters like that. Because a lot of times y'all don't understand. What y'all don't know is y'all see us, this, and this. And, oh, we being all animated and this and whatever. It's a prompter right here. I'm just reading it. I just know how to read it and animate it and make it look like I'm just talking, but I'm reading something. And coach is like, how the heck are you doing that? I would be stumbling over my words. You didn't miss a word and all this. I don't know, coach. I just, I work at it. So it's tough, but yeah, one take Gerald is still around.
One take Gerald's still a thing.
You know
I'm
what's
so happy to
crazy
hear
is
it.
my kids have taken that on. When they do stuff, they like, oh, one taking them. Like,
Stop
whatever.
it.
The karma. I love it. It came right back at you. All right, Gerald, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a absolute blast. Can't wait to see you on the 50th documentary. It's going to be amazing as well. So thank you so much for taking the time out after I know you worked a long day and traveled yesterday as well. So we really appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody. I love y'all. See y'all soon.
Sounds good. All right,
Good
that's going
talking to you, G.
to do it for us
Sure.
on the Players Table, brought to you by Hooters, the original wing joint since 1983. This is Buccaneers Radio.